So, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. My name is Blessing B. Vicente, and I am a Group 1. Today, we are present our topic. It's all about intellectual revolutions and society. So, defining science. Science as an idea, it includes ideas, theories, and all systematic explanation and observations about the natural and physical world. So, ang science ay isang idea na naglalaman ng mga konsepto, teorya at sistematikong paliwanag at obserbasyon tungkol sa likas at pisikal na mundo. Ito ay ginagamit upang maunawaan at ipaliwanag ang mga likas na batas at fenomena sa ating paligid. So, science as an intellectual activity, it encompasses a systematic and practical study of the natural and physical world. This process involves systematic observations and experimentation. So, science as an intellectual activity ay isang sistematikong pag-aaral ng likas at pisikal na mundo. Kabilang dito ang obserbasyon at eksperimento upang masusing pag-aralan at maunawaan ang mga proseso at fenomena sa kalikasan. So next, science as a body of knowledge. It is a subject, discipline, or field of the study that deals with the process of learning about the natural and physical world. So, science as a body of knowledge ay isang larangan ng pag-aaral na tumatalakay sa proseso ng pagkatuto tungkol sa likas at pisikal na mundo. At ito ay naglalaman ng mga impormasyon at kaalaman na nakuha mula sa mga eksperimento at obserbasyon. So, science as a personal and social activity. It is means to survive and improve life. It is interwoven with people's lives. So, science as a personal and social activity ay tumutulong sa tao upang mabuhay at mapabuti ang kalidad ng buhay. Ito ay bahagi ng ating pang-araw-araw na gawain at nakaepekto sa ating pamumuhay mula sa kalusugan hanggang sa teknolohiya o kapaligiran. So next, scientific revolutions was the period of enlightenment with the developments in the fields of science and mathematics transforms the views of society about nature. It explained the emergence of modern science. This took about place in Europe, which was started by the publication of Nicolaus Copernicus' book in the revolutions of the heavenly spheres and indeed with Isaac Newton. So, ang panahon sa kaliwanagan o enlightenment ay isang panahon kung kailan ang pag-unlad sa agham at matematika ay nagbago sa pananaw ng lipunan tungkol sa kalikasan at nagsimula ito sa Europe sa pamamagitan ng paglalatda ng aklat ni Nicolaus Copernicus. On the revolutions of the heavenly spheres noong 1543 na namungkahi ng heliocentric model ng solar system. Sa panahong ito, maaring natuklasan ang siyentipiko tulad nila Galileo Galilei, Johannes Kepler at René Descartes. Natapos ito sa mga gawain ni Isaac Newton at particular sa kanyang prinsipya matematika noong 1687 at naglatag ng mga batas ng kilusan at gravitasyon na naging pundasyon at modernong agham. So next, paradigm and paradigm shifts. A scientific paradigm is a framework containing all the commonly accepted views about a subject, conventions about the direction of research should take and how it should be performed. The philosopher Thomas Kuhn suggested that a paradigm includes the practices that define a scientific discipline. At a certain point in time, paradigm contain all the distinct established patterns, theories, common methods, and standards that allows us to recognize experimental results as belonging to a field or not. So, Kuhn was interested in how the overarching theories we have of reality itself influence the models and theories we make about reality within that paradigm. So, ang scientific paradigm ay isang balangkas na naglalaman ng mga karaniwang tinatanggap na pananaw tungkol sa isang paksa. Ayon kay Thomas Kuhn, ito ay binubuo ng mga kasanayan na naglalarawan ng isang siyentipikong larangan sa isang tiyak na panahon. At kasama rito ang teorya, pamamaraan at pamantayan na ginagamit upang matukoy kung ang isang eksperimento ay bahagi ng isang larangan o hindi. So, it is very common for scientists to discard certain models or pick up emerging theories, but once in a while enough anomalies accumulate within a field that the entire paradigm itself required to change to accommodate them. Normal science is a step-by-step scientific process which builds patiently upon previous research. Revolutionary science, often fringe science, questions and paradigm itself. Kuhn believed that a paradigm would make a sudden leap from to one next, called the paradigm shift, where the new paradigm didn't build on the foundations of the old but completely change the roles for the building. So, karaniwan sa mga siyentipiko ang pagpapalit ng mga modelo o pagtanggap ng bagong teorya ay gayunpaman kapag maraming anomalya ang naipon, maaaring kailangang baguhin na buong paradigm upang maisama ang mga ito. At normal science ay unti-unting proseso ng agham na nakabatay sa naunang pananaliksik, samantala revolutionary science ay tumutuligsa mismo sa umiiral na paradigm. Ayon kay Thomas Kuhn, ang ganitong pagbabago ay tinatawag na paradigm shift, kung saan hindi lang inayos ang lumang sistema, kundi binago ang buong panuntunan ng agham. So, Greek cosmology. So, we began with the invention of the idea of scientific theory, pre-Socratic philosophers. So, nagsimula ang konsepto ng scientificong teorya mula sa mga pre-Socratic philosophers na unang nagtanong at naghanap ng lohikal na paliwanag tungkol sa mundo, sa halip na umasa lamang sa metodolohiya o paniniwalang pan-relihiyon. So, they attempt to find underlying and unchanging principles responsible for the constantly changing phenomena of the everyday natural world. So, dito naman ay sinubukan nilang hanapin ang mga batayang prinsipyo na hindi nagbabago, na siyang dahilan sa likod ng palaging nagbabagong phenomena sa ating likas na mundo. So next, the Greeks developed a cosmological theory with the Earth of the center and the planets, Sun and Moon embedded in spheres rotating around the Earth. So dito, binuo ng mga Greek ang isang cosmological na teorya kung saan ang daigdig ang nasa gitna at ang mga planeta, araw at buwan ay napaloob sa mga umiikot na spheres sa paligid nito. So next, the motions in the heavens were understood in terms of Aristotle's theory of motion. So dito naman, ang galaw ng mga bagay sa kalangitan ay ipinaliwanag batay sa teorya ng paggalaw ni Aristotle, na nagsasabing ang bawat bagay ay may likas na paggalaw at ang mga bagay sa langit ay gumagalaw sa mga perpektong bilog. So, that's all. Thank you, ma'am.
So, in this slide, he formalized his model in the publication of his treatise, De Revolutionibus Orbium Coelestium, so the revolution of celestial spheres in 1543. So in the year 1543, the Polish astronomer Nicholas Copernicus he published his book, The Revolutionibus Orbium Coelestium. So in this book, he introduced an idea. This idea was the sun, not the earth, is the center of the solar system. This was the Copernican. Look at that, the sun was the center. And the Ptolemaic contradicts this. Also, the Copernican also contradicts Ptolemaic. So, heliocentrism, which suggested that the center of the solar system was not the earth, but actually the sun. He contradicted the geocentric model introduced by Ptolemy, where the earth is the center of the solar system. So, this was eventually accepted by the people in a period called the birth of modern astronomy. So, before the people accepted this, they believed in the geocentric model proposed by Ptolemy, which claimed that the center was the earth and of everything, and the sun and the moon planets revolved around the earth. So this belief was widely accepted because it matched religious teachings and ancient traditions. Next slide. So next topic is the Darwinian Revolution. So this is one of the most controversial intellectual revolution. So in 1859, Charles Darwin, an English naturalist, biologist, and geologist, published his book on the origin of species. So in the year 1859, an English naturalist named Charles Darwin published a book that would change the way we understand life, on the origin of species. In this book, he introduced the theory of evolution, which explained that species evolve over time through a process called natural selection. So, how does natural selection work? So, imagine a group of animals living in a changing environment. Some will have traits that help them survive, like better camouflage or stronger legs for running. These animals are more likely to live longer and pass their traits to their offspring. Meanwhile, those that cannot adapt will struggle to survive and eventually die and disappear. So this idea is often called survival of the fittest. So in this book, he introduced the theory of evolution through the population passed through a process of natural selection in which only the fittest would survive. Next slide. So Darwin also stated that organisms have the ability to adapt to their environment and would gradually change into something that would be more competitive to survive. Process known as evolution. So if an animal came to something that to a habitat that he isn't familiar with, he will adapt to that habitat, and that's called evolution. So next, we have here an example like this. A population of mice has moved into a new area where the rocks are very dark. Due to natural genetic variation, some mice are black while others are tan. So in the next picture, the tan mice are more visible to the predatory birds than black mice. Thus, tan mice are eaten at a higher frequency than black mice. Only the surviving mice reach reproductive age and leave offspring. So as you can see, the tan mice was decreased gradually by the predatory bird. So the next picture is shows that because the black mice had a higher chance of leaving offspring than tan mice, the next generation contains a higher fraction of black mice than the previous generation. So the mice reproduce, giving to the next generation. So as you can see, the more black mice survive, the more black mice that has been reproduced to the next generation than the tan mice. This is called the process of natural selection. So next slide is, we have here a butterfly, a yellow butterfly and a brown butterfly. So the first picture, this is a genetic variation within a population which can be inherited. The second picture is the competition. So overproduction of offspring leads to competition for survival. And as you can see at the picture number 3, the adaptations. So individuals with beneficial adaptations are more likely to survive to pass on their genes. So as you can see, the brown caterpillar was safe than the green caterpillar. The next picture is that selection. Over many generations, there is a change in frequency called evolution or evolution. Next example is the natural selection. So each species shows variation. As you can see, there's a different variant of each species. So there's a competition within each species for food, living space, mates, etc. So the better adapted members of the species are more likely to survive, thus saying the survival of the fittest. And as you can see, the more adapted ones, the taller one has survived than the smaller ones. So these survivors will pass on their better genes to their offspring, who will also show this beneficial variation. So this topic is very controversial because this theory of Charles Darwin is not fond of the church, because the church teachings that is the source of life is a powerful creator, while Charles Darwin's evolution theory suggests that we came from apes. So this made people divided based on their belief, but eventually later on was not in fact against teachings of the church, and both can coexist. So they learned to coexist because we're just people. Yeah, we do crazy stuff, so they can coexist. So it depends on your belief which will you believe. We came from the apes or the chimpanzee, or we came from the powerful creator, which is our God. Next.
A pleasant day, ma'am. I am Jared M. Natura, and this is the continuation of our report. Freudian Revolution. So what is Freudian Revolution? Freudian Revolution, it is a revolution wherein the perspective of the people in mental health was changed. So dati, ang mental health ay itinuturing na stigmatized issue. Pag sinabi natin stigmatized, hindi pantay na pagtrato, kagaya lang ng sa discrimination, pagkakaroon ng mental illness, or even in cultural backgrounds ay nagkakaroon ng stigma o hindi tamang pagtrato sa iba. So dati, kapag ikaw ay may mental illness, itinuturing kanila na kakaiba, mahina, o sa panahon natin ngayon tinatawag na baliw. Because of Freud, nag-iba ang pananaw ng mga tao about this. In the past, field of psychology was always under philosophy. Psychology was considered more of art rather than science, because it suggests that its practices are often viewed as subjective. So pag sinabi natin subjective, based on feelings and emotions, interpretive and deeply connected on human experience. So kaya siya tinawag na art ang psychology, because it is based on human experience, and it more focus on therapeutic, counseling, or an artistic elements of understanding human nature rather than on a scientific method, data, and experiments. That is why psychology called an art rather than a science. Now, let's talk about Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, he is an Austrian neurologist and is famous for inventing and developing the technique of psychoanalysis. In 19th century, Sigmund Freud was able to change people's perception of psychology with his revolutionary theory of psychoanalysis. So what is psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis is the study of human behavior. It is a discipline of psychology that tackles the unconscious mind and how it affects our emotions, decisions, at ating pag-uugali. It is a scientific method of understanding inner and unconscious conflicts embedded with one's personality, winging from free associations, dreams, and fantasies of the individuals. Sa proseso ng psychoanalysis, binibigyan ng pagkakataon ng isang tao na magsalita ng malaya about what's inside of them and what they feel, or tinatawag din na free associations. Dito pinag-aaralan din ang panaginip ng iba. Pinag-aaralan ang panaginip at ang iba pang unconscious na pag-uugali upang matulungan ang pasyente na maunawaan ang ugat ng kanilang mga problema. So, ang layunin din nito ay matulungan silang makamtan ang insight o ang kamalayan ng isyong hindi nila batid at maghanap ng solusyon upang mapabuti ang kanilang mental health. Freud explained that there are many conscious and unconscious factors that can influence behavior and emotions. He also argued that personality is a product of three elements. We have the id, ego, and the superego. So, what is id? So, id is the first to develop. So, pag panganak mo, ang id ang unang nadi-develop, and it contains basic instinct of human. Ang basic instinct ng tao ayon kay Freud ay ang maranasan ang pleasurable o ang masarap na pamumuhay, at hanggat maaari ay iwasan yung may hirap o yung mga sufferings. Walang pakialam ang id kung ano ang nangyari sa labas o sa realidad ng buhay. Basta ang gusto niya ay masatisfy lang yung mga pangangailangan niya, which is yung pleasure. Ang id ay nasa unconscious. Ayon kay Freud, ibig sabihin hindi tayo aware. Para mabigyan ng mapansin yung pangangailangan ng id, ay nade-develop eventually yung ego. So, ano naman yung ego? So, ang ego, siya ang connected sa reality. Sabi ni Freud, nandito daw yung reality principle. Unlike sa id, na nasa unconscious lang, and yung ego ay partly nasa conscious and partly nasa unconscious din. So, hati sila. Merong part na nasa conscious and meron ding part na nasa unconscious. Pero syempre, hindi naman dapat laging nasusunod si id dahil ano man ang sobra ay nakakasama. At somehow, sa buhay natin, kailangan din natin ng konting sufferings. So, dun na pumapasok yung taga-balanse, which is yung ating superego. So, ano naman yung superego? Nandito sa superego ang tinatawag natin na konsensya. So, sinasabi ng superego sa atin kung ano ang tama at ang mali. And, nandito din sa superego yung tinatawag natin na ideal o yung version natin na gusto natin maging, or what and how we want to be. So, just like ego, partly nasa conscious and unconscious si superego. So, parehas silang nasa conscious and unconscious yung superego. So, ang psychoanalysis ay nagre-resolve around dun sa dynamics ng tatlong yun. Ang id, which is our instinct, ego, the reality, and the superego, the morality. So, I will give you an example about the id, ego, and superego. For example, may nakita kang tinapay. Ang sasabihin ni id ay gusto kong kainin. Pero ang sasabihin naman ni ego ay hindi mo pwedeng kainin yan because that is not yours. So, anong gagawin ni ego? So, pwede niya pagbigyan kung anong gusto ni id. Pwede niya rin pagbigyan kung anong gusto ni superego without sacrificing the other. So, medyo mahirap ang task ni ego kasi kapag sinunod niya lang yung isa, for example, si id. Kapag si id lang sinunod niya, mas lalong lalakas si id. Tapos, kapag si superego lang yung sinunod niya, mas lalong lalakas si superego. So, pag hindi balance, there is the tendency na magkaroon ng chaotic personality ang tao. O kaya naman, kapag si superego lang lagi, magkakaroon ng super rigid yung tao. So, that there is three conflicting personality based on Freud: the id, ego, and superego. Many believe that Freud's theory had no specific basis o walang matibay na basihan. Pero pinagpatuloy pa rin ni Freud ang pagtatrabaho hanggang sa naunawaan na ng tao yung concept na gawa niya, which is psychoanalysis. So,
So, this is my report, Mesoamerica. It has contributed a lot of ideas or discoveries for archaeology. Malaki ang naitulong ng archipelago sa pag-unawa sa kasaysayan ng mundo. Sa pamamagitan ng paghukay sa labi ng mga nakalibing ng mga sinaunang tao at doon niya na natuklasan ang iba't ibang kultura at teknolohiya doon sa mga sinaunang tao. The temples and pyramids left a lot of architecture that leads us to study more of it. Ang temple at ang pyramid ay nag-iwan ng sinaunang sibilisasyon na mabigat ng mahalagang ambag sa larangan ng arkitektura. Dahil alam naman natin yung mga temples at pyramids ay nakakaagaw ng atensyon sa ating mga mata. Kaya napaka mahalaga ang kanilang iniwan na ito. The Malaya civilization is one of the famous civilizations that lasted for approximately 2,000 years. So, ang Maya ay kilala sa pinakatanyag sa sinaunang kabihasnan na tumagal ng humigit kumulang 2,000 years. These people are known for their work in astronomy. Kilala ang mga Maya sa kanilang malalim at kaalaman sa astronomy. They developed the technology for growing different crops and buildings elaborate cities using ordinary machineries and tools. Ang sinaunang Maya ay nakabuo ng mga teknolohiyang tumulong sa kanila sa pagtatanim ng iba't iba ng iba pa at sa pagtayo ng malalaking lungsod gamit lamang ng simple herring. So nakapagtayo sila ng malalaking lungsod gamit lamang ang mga simpleng bagay. Next is so ito yung mga Maya. Yan sila yung mga Maya. Next, they build hydraulic system with sophisticated waterways to supply water to different communities. Sinaunang Maya nakabuo ng isang mahusay na sistema ng hydraulic system sama sa limuot na mga daanan ng tubig upang matustusan ng paghihirap nila at iba pa sa kanilang community. The Mayans built looms for weaving cloths and devised rainbow of glettly paints of minerals called mica. Bukod sa kanayan sa tubig, nakalikha ang mga Maya ng looms at mahabihan para sa letal. They are also believed to be the first people to produce rubber products 3,000 years before Goodyear received its patent in 1814. So, ang mga produktong guma ay kanilang pinakaunang ambag sa agham sa society at technology ay ang paggawa nito. So, ito daw yung pinakaunang nilang naambag sa society at sa technology ng paggawa nito ng guma. Next is the Mayans are considered one of the most scientifically advanced societies in Mesoamerica. So, ang Mayan civilization daw ay tinaguriang isa sa pinaka-advantage na societies sa Mesoamerica. The Inca civilization is also famous in Mesoamerica. ang Inca civilization ay isa din sa pinakakilala sa Mesoamerica. The Incas made advanced scientific ideas considering their limitation as an old civilization. So gumamit din ng mga Inca ng kipo, isang sistema ng buhol-buhol na lubid na nagsisilbi paraan na pagtatala ng mga batos. Next, the following were scientific ideas and tools that they developed to help them in everyday life. First is roads paved with stones. Yung mga daan na gawa sa bato. Yan, tinatawag na road paved with. Ginawa yan ng mga Inca. Next is stone buildings that surmounted earthquakes and other disasters. So, nakapagtayo sila ng mga gusali na malalakas na kaya makipagsabayan sa mga sakuna tulad ng lindol at bagyo. Irrigation system and technique for storing water for their crops to grow in all types of land. So, sa larangan ng agriculture, nakabuo sila ng sistemang patubig at mga pamamaraan sa mga libak ng tubig. Mapapalayo ang mga pananim. So, next is calendar with 12 months to make their religious festivals and prepare them for planting. So, gumawa sila ng kalendar na may 12 buwan upang mas mabahala sila or yung malaman nila, makaprepare sila na sa paparita na alam nila kung anong araw ba makarating yung mga festivals nila and others. The first suspension bridge. So, suspension bridge ay gawa sa hinabing daro at lubid. Isa sa mga pambihirang imbensyon na kanilang ginawa. Kipo, a system of knotted ropes to keep record that only experts can interpret. So, dahil wala silang system na nakasulat, bumuo sila ng kipo. So, wala silang kasulatan. So, bumuo sila ng kipo. Pero, ang alam lang nito is yung mga expertise. Okay, yun. Inca textile scene cloth was one of the especially prized artistic achievement. Sa larangan ng singin ng mga tela Inca ay tinuturing na isa sa kanilang pinakamataas na anyo ng singin. Next, so the Aztec civilization made substantial contribution to science and technology. So, first contributions is the mandatory education. The Aztec puts value on education. That is why their children are mandated to get education regardless of their social class, gender, and age. It is an early form of universal or inclusive education. So, ang mga Aztec ay isa sa sibilisasyon na nagbigay ng mataas na halaga ng edukasyon. Chocolates. The Aztec in Mexico developed chocolate during their time. In Mayan culture, they used currency. The Aztec valued the cacao beans highly and make it in the part of their tribute. So, mahalaga din daw yung nai-contribute ng Aztec sa paglikha ng tsokolate. Next contribution is antispasmodic medication. They used type of antispasmodic medication that could present muscle spasms and relax muscles which could help during surgery. Ang mga Aztec ay nagpakita ng kahangahangang kaalaman sa iba't ibang larangan tulad ng medisina, agriculture, astronomy at transportasyon. Next is Chinampa. It is a form of Aztec technology of agricultural farming in which the land was divided into the rectangular areas and surrounded by sand canal. So, Chipampa is isang sistema ng pagsasaka kung saan lupa ay hinahati sa mga hugis parihabang bahagi na napalibutan ng mga kanal. Next is Aztec calendar. This enables them to plan their activities, rituals, and planting season. So, upang mas malsaayon ang kanilang mga gawain, seremonya at panahon ng pagtatanim, lumikha sila ng isang detalyadong kalendaryo na nagpapakita ng kanilang malalim na kaalaman sa astronomiya at organisasyon ng lipunan. Last distribution is invention of the canoe, the light narrow boat used for traveling in water system. So, ang larangan ng transportasyon, nag-imbento sila ng canoe, isang magandang at makitid na bangka na ginagamit sa paglalakbay sa mga ilog at lawa. Ang mga kanoy na ito ay naging pangunahing paraan ng pagdadala ng mga kalakal at paglalakbay ng kanilang impormasyon. So, nakakatulong ito sa kanilang transformation. And that's all.
Okay. The revolution in self-truth Asian countries about freedom and independent national along the improvement truth by and internally. Many of the revolution in Asia not only truth national about freedom and independence, but also integrated pronounced internal improvement in areas like government, social structure, and national identity. As a national found on for and guided independent from colonial power, they were also forced to reckon with how build and shape their own sovereign states. This revolution provide the foundation from progress in various aspects of national life, even as they counted with challenge in consolidating freedom and national. His a deep look at how revolution led internal improvement with Asian countries. India is a huge peninsula surrounded by vast bodies of water and fortified by huge mountains in its northern borders. India is a vast peninsula in South Asia surrounded by the Arabia Asia to the west, the Bay of Bengal of the east, and Indian Ocean to the southeast. The northern borders are fulfilled by the Himalayas, the world's highest mountain range, which act as a natural bridge, influence the region climate, and survive okay. Danger are known from manufacturing, iron, and metallurgical works. India has a long history of iron and metallurgical experience. Ancient India civilization, such as a Montri in a Gupta Emprise, work now from advanced ironworking technology. That famous iron pillar of Delhi, which dates back to around the 4th century CE, is an excellent example of India early metallurgical skills, has rising from over 1,600 years due to its high porous context. The iron still is considered to be best and held with high regard in the Roman Empire. They are also focused in medicine. Alivera is a system of traditional medicine that originated in ancient India before 200 1000 BC, and he is still presented as a form of allegative medicine. They discovered some medicine provide plants that lead them to the develop medicines to cure. Yes, and Nuveda is ancient India system of medicine that dates back over 3,000 years. It's based on a holistic approach to help balance the body, balance the body, mid and spread through natural remains, dead and lifestyle. Appreciate the world. Ayurveda comes from Socrates. Okay. Some ancient texts like Sutra Samhita describe different surgical and other medical products famous in ancient India. Okay. The Horata Samhita is one of the most important ancient Indian medicine texts, primarily focused on surgery, surely Tantra. It was written by Surata, who is regarded as the father of surgery. That text is developed to have been composed around 600 BCE and is one of the earliest and most detailed work on surgical technology, anatomy, in medicine produced. Ancient India is also notably in a field astronomical. They developed the theories on the configuration of the universe that especially supporting Earth and the year of 360 days with 12 equal part of 30 days each. They are also known from their mathematical. Aryabhata, an India astronomical and mathematical, in his Aryabhata include a number of trigonometric function tables and techniques, as well a lot of algebra. Aryabhata 476 CE to 550 CE was one of ancient India's greatest mathematical and astronomical. He made significant contribution to algebra through trigonometry, arithmetic, and his most focused work, the Aryabhata, right around 499 CE, through instructed many mathematical and astronomical concepts that influenced later scholars in India beyond. Aryabhata is the ancient India mathematical and astronomical three state right by the Aryabhata. In 499 CE, it's one of most influential work in India mathematical and astronomy. The text is composed in Sanskrit and consists of 121 verses divided into four sections. China, one of the ancient civilizations which substantial contribution in many areas like medicine, astronomy, science, mathematics, arts, philosophy, and music. Traditional China medicine the China know from their traditional medicine. They discover various medicine properties and use different plants and animals to cure human lines. Acupuncture is an example. Traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, it's a holistical system of medicine that has been practiced in China for thousands of years. It is based on the concept to balance the body energy or QI, and maintain harmony between the yin and yang forces. TCM improvise various methods to diagnose, prevent, and treat illness by restoring balance in the body. Acupuncture is the key component the traditional Chinese medicine. TCM that involves inserting them sterile the needles into specific points on the body to promote healing and balance. The body's vital energy, it has been practiced in China from over 2,000 years and is now widely used worldwide, from pain relief, stress reduction, and various medicine conduction. Middle East. The revolution in the Middle East were a product of development and growth of individual national improvement, imperialism from the effort of westernized and modernized Middle East societies, and to force the decline power of the Ottoman Empire in the Arab region. The Ottoman Empire rules most of the Arab world from the early 16th century until early 20th century. Its control extend over the key region include the Levant, modern-day Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, and Israel. Mesopotamia, Iraq, the Arabia Peninsula, and North Arabia, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria. Muslim scientist Ibn al-Haytham is regarded as the father of obstetrics, officially from his empirical proof of the intermission theory of light. Eva Haytham al-Hazi is 1965 to 1040 CE is known as the father of octaves due to his groundbreaking work on light vision of optical phenomena. The mathematics and mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi gave his name to the concept of the algebraical. Well, the term algebra is derived from all algebra. The beginning of the title of one is publication. Muhammad Ebamos ay Khwarizmi c. 780 to 850 CE was Persian mathematician, astronomer, and scholar from Islamic Golden Age. He is best known as the father of algebra and for his contribution to mathematics, especially the algebra, arithmetic, and algorithms. Okay. African. The fight against colonialism and imperialism in Africa. Egypt was known to be a center of alchemy, which is known as the medical forerunner of chemistry. Astronomy was also famous in the Africa region. From instant documents show that Africans used their types of cylinder, lunar, solar, and stellar, or a combination of the three. The struggle against colonialism and imperialism in Africa was a long and complex process that sped countries from the resistance against European invasion to the national movement that led to the independence in the 20th century. The information age, also known the age of information. The age of information is also known as the digital age or the computer age, reference to the period in a human history marked by the rapid shift from traditional industries to an economy based on information technology, digital communication, and automation. It's began in the mid to late 20th century and continues today. This has been the era which technology has been prevalent. It is also known as the computer age that has brought much change on the way we are living today. Okay, technology has become an essential part of modern life. It influences communication, education, health, business, and health actives, from ancient tools to artificial intelligence. Technology advancement have shaped how people live, work, and interact. The computer age, also known as the digital age of information age, refers to the period when computers and digital technology become a central part of century. It's began in the mid 20th century with the invention of early computers and continue to evolve with advancement in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, the internet. Yun lang po, ma'am, and maraming salamat.